starting. I don't know if okay now it
There
says
we go. Found it.
this is Twitch.
On air.
When you start the podcast on Twitch, you still have to wait like 30 or so seconds while a commercial plays.
Oh, really?
So if like you get used to it enough, you'd be like, okay, the thing started, and then you just kind of like sit there and wait, and then go, "Hi, everybody."
That's really like, I don't know, trippy.
How is what trippy? What is trippy?
That's trippy. I don't know. That would trip me out. I guess you probably get used to it, but
Yeah, I mean, I did start streaming like a month, 2 months ago, or something like that.
oh yeah.
So you get used to it.
So now that like you started this, you're like, well, we got 30 seconds here and drinking some beer. All 30 seconds.
Well, that's just, I mean, that's just me because Daddy needs his nectar to. We should probably introduce the show.
Why would we do that?
If you could call it a show. This is the Doodle Sesh, and I am your host of the News Friends podcast and also the drawer of the comic, Michael Illick.
Hi, Mike.
And I want to say joined with me, as always, is Dustin Godfrey, because this is really the only time that we get to spend together.
Yep. Yeah, and, this is our friendship.
Yeah. And this is like basically an attempt to do it in a consecutive order. This is like the second time in a row that we've done it without like a month and a half break.
I'm so proud of us.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of us too, to be honest. But there was just I wanted to push hard for this because there was an article that came out that was either going to be on the News Friends podcast itself. I don't know how well people can actually hear me because the microphone is like way off to the side here. Or good. Or I was like, this would actually make for so much more better fodder to be an art thing.
Fair enough.
So I am going
to enough, maybe.
Oh, so I'm going to put this up on the screen share right now and make sure that I'm front and center. It says neo-Nazi furries are Trump's latest and most puzzling alt-right supporters. I feel like that title alone should give you a really good idea of what the subject may entail, because this is a very interesting Newsweek article. And there's so much about it. Like, the Cliff's Notes of it is that there is now an alt-right group within the furry community calling themselves alt-furries that started out as a joke.
Clever.
They started out as a joke, much like most things do on the internet. It's all in good humor. But then because it's also the internet and millions of people use this thing,
they found some real alt-right neo-Nazi furries.
Exactly. So like people who genuinely feel a certain way that are part of a niche community will start gravitating towards that.
Like, why does reality always have to ruin a good joke?
I don't know. I really, really, really don't know. So this article kind of details that I don't know how many people were, but it focuses on one person that was actually banned from furry conventions because of, I guess, his point of view. And it said something about how like this dude was writing a story called The Third Reich, which takes place, it's like a fictional story or comic or whatever that takes place in World War II about a Nazi soldier that finds like a really hot furry chick. And you can only imagine where it goes from there.
I think I got it.
Here's a harmless picture of a furry. I don't think that guy represents any hatred. He's just happy to be here.
It's playing.
And then it goes further into like the whole alt-right neo-Nazi kind of nonsense. So,
hell, that's furry. That's, like, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, at the same time, like, it's totally rife for like uh solid puns, but at the same time it's like kind of normalizing alt-right Nazis furries because it's just like, oh, they're just a little joke. That's fine.
Oh, I can hear me in your computer.
I'll turn you down.
Okay.
Just kidding. No, I can't hear you.
Okay. How are you gonna fix
How's the
that?
beer?
The beer's good. I can still hear me.
How about now?
Let me find out. Yeah, I can still. Why did it suddenly start doing that when it wasn't doing that before?
I don't know, because you're pretty quiet now.
Oh shoot! Technical difficulties. Do you have
Tech diffs. Huh?
What?
What?
Oh my god! It's right there. Don't you have like headphones or something? Or?
Maybe, yeah. I'll go get headphones. In the meantime,
Live show, ladies and gentlemen.
in the meantime, have a cat.
Oh man, I love cat cam.
It's my favorite time.
Hello, Hops. Nice hairy backside.
Ugh. How was cat cam?
It's full of butt as usual.
Yeah, he's a big old butt. 90% butt.
90% butt.
That's
better for me.
10% cute face.
It's better for me. Is it better for you? Is it good for you?
Gross. That's all right.
Okay, good.
I can live like this.
As long as I don't hear me, then we're good. But where was I going with this? What were we talking about before? I totally forgot now because of the technical difficulties.
You ruined everything, Michael.
I ruined everything. It's terrible. So there was something else that actually came up in the midst of preparing for today.
Okay.
Apparently, some other kind of revelation within, that card game Magic the Gathering.
Okay. Is there like a neo-Nazi Magic the Gathering like segment now too?
Apparently, there is a bunch of the alt-right that have taken up playing that game or have always played that game and just became more visible within the community.
Yeah, I mean, that's not actually too surprising. Like, they are some of the same people who would be like the really shitty. Like, I imagine a lot of people on 4chan play Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
And 4chan is just like full of shitty people.
That's also true. But I don't know. I mean, like, there's also something about that, I mean, the Magic the Gathering community has been around for a very long time. So I think whatever kind of nonsense is there now has always been there.
Yeah.
People have a tendency to be shitty. Like, if you take a look at the other communities out there, comics itself has like a long history of being a toxic environment.
I mean, like, really, just society has a long history of being a toxic environment.
Yeah, I guess it's just weirder to me now that you can put a more significant face on all this stuff now, because now you can properly label it as alt-right people, as opposed to just saying, "Well, this guy's a jerk."
Yeah. I mean, really, I think we all had a label all along, and that's neo-Nazi. But you know,
more or less.
Yeah.
It's just a shame that
we shied away from that term because we don't like to confront people.
I mean, I feel like we talked about this in the podcast before about how I think it's weird that like this group of people aren't necessarily neo-Nazis. They like to use the Nazi moniker, but I think that they are very much more weak-willed than a neo-Nazi is, just because they hide behind things more.
I would still say they're neo-Nazis.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not. I mean, like, I'm not going to argue a point here.
That's probably a good call.
I just kind of feel like there's a little bit of an irony in the fact that these people are trying to be a thing and are happy to call themselves Nazis, even though I feel like they're just taking the name and not necessarily are that group. But that's probably a conversation we're going to end up having on the podcast this week. Because there was an article on the New York Times that kind of more or less humanizes or normalizes something that a lot of people didn't like, and that's going to be the longer discussion part for sure. But
yeah, did you read the Times' response to all the backlash?
Yes, I did, and I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah,
because I saw a lot of people on Twitter. They're just kind of like, because you know how we say that, I'm going to set up the Photoshop screen here while I'm talking. You know how people say that, oh, is news biased? Should news be biased? I think that is kind of true. I mean, there's always going to be a bias, but then that bias is not necessarily from the news organization, but also comes from the people that read the article.
Yeah, I mean, the news organization just kind of responds to their audience a lot, right?
Like, I saw something, I saw a tweet from a guy, Brett Ehrlich, who works at the Young Turks. He does a show for them a couple times, and his response was like, it's so weird that people are getting mad at New York Times for something that is basically a standard Vice article.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true.
I mean, kind of phrased
standard
there. Huh?
Because it's like different standards, right?
Yeah. So like people are holding a candle to New York Times that they would normally not with Vice. So it's a weird situation there.
Yeah.
But the point of the comic today, is given the fact that something started out as a joke within a community that I don't think neither of us will ever set foot in.
That's probably an accurate or fair assumption anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like, nothing against them. It's just, you know,
I'm not a furry.
I'm not a furry. I know plenty of furries. I have friends with some furries, and it's not a big deal. But anyway, I'm getting off topic here. Something started as a joke in the community, and it got out of hand. And I was kind of thinking, what if we did the comic this week, and that involved a community, like a very like niche, out of the way you would not suspect it community, that suddenly has like an alt-right force growing inside it.
Interesting.
Like, are we talking a stamp collecting community?
They're really, really interested in those Nazi stamps, you know?
World War II paraphernalia.
Yeah.
We can talk as I warm up here.
That sure is a face.
Yeah. He's really happy about his stamps. It's a really big stamp, though.
That is a very large stamp.
And he's got his arm out.
That's going to be going pretty far.
Or what other kind of communities would you not suspect?
The first one that I had thought of was like the B'nai B'rith or whatever, that Jewish group.
The B'nai B'rith?
I forget what they're called, but I don't know exactly how it's pronounced or anything. But there's like that Jewish, like really like fundamental Jewish group,
Okay.
or maybe they're not. Maybe they're not all that fundamental. I actually just know that they are a Jewish group, but that'd be an unlikely source for a Nazi contingent.
Yes, that is true, but I think because they are a Jewish group, I don't know. There was something in that article where this guy was talking about how he tried joining an alt-right group, but they wouldn't let him because he was Jewish.
Oh, fair enough.
So I think they get a pass for never being part of an alt-right thing.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
On account of being Jewish and the thing that they probably hate or represent hatred towards.
What about Nazi dog walkers?
Nazi dog walkers, I could see that.
Yeah, they're all about the uniformity and step. Make all their dogs walk in a straight line, and
I just have like the sudden urge to draw a German Shepherd now, though.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what? I like that idea though, because it's still got that furry angle to it.
Yeah, true. Yes, it does.
So we're gonna go ahead and maybe like draw a little bit of an outline here. Oh, that's the ground.
There's some solid ground there.
solid ground.
Solid ground.
Some other ideas that I was kind of thinking of were like I remember when we were in J school, that tabletop group that I talked about, that I talked up all the time, like the tabletop board game thing.
Oh yeah.
And like my was thinking like that doesn't necessarily work out because sometimes their tabletop games do involve World War II scenarios.
Oh yeah.
So
really, and I think a lot of those people kind of are probably similar to the Magic the Gathering people, right?
yeah. Plus, like a lot of that community is just old people.
Oh.
I can't really picture any young blood coming in being all like, screw these old people. We hate Jews and gays and blacks and make America great again by playing Warhammer 40K.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, I feel like Warhammer 40K probably lends itself to that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people would probably argue that if you take a look at the Magic the Gathering community, they'd be all like, oh man, I hate that this stuff is just so political now. It's absolute garbage. But then, like, you kind of look at the history of most fantasy novels and how incredibly political that stuff was, because they would just use other races and scenarios as an excuse to explore their own political views.
Of course.
Which is why a lot of people kind of look at the Lord of the Rings stuff as going, that guy was kind of a racist. What's his name? I can't remember the author of the...
J.R.R. Tolkien?
J.R.R. Tolkien.
J.R.R.
J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah. I was going to say a group of new moms support group who also happen to want to make America great again.
I want to ask the question if that's a real thing, because I feel like that is.
It probably is. Or Alcoholics Anonymous for Nazis.
Yeah. But it'd be like more of a Nazis Anonymous.
Narcotics Anonymous.
That's kind of how like the alt-right probably got its start a little bit, by being, well, no, that's actually true. That's probably how the alt-right definitely got its start, by being in smaller communities and then building it up.
And then Donald Trump got elected and they blew right up.
Yep.
And all the Nazis came out of the woodworks.
All of them.
All of them.
Oof. This guy knows how to walk.
That's good.
Good thing that this is just an outline. Maybe he's just like looking at the guy sitting on the bench and saying, "Hey." Now I gotta draw a dog here.
Presumably a German Shepherd.
If I remember what they look like.
They have pointy noses and pointy ears. And 4 legs.
And are
also fur. Don't
brown
forget
and
the fur.
Brown and black as well.
Yes. You know, like I can't tell if that guy is doing a hail or if he's waving friendly to the fellow on the bench there.
That's a good point. If I give him an armband,
there you go.
No, it's kind of like one of those subtle things, right?
Yeah.
If you just give him an armband and make it look like he's saying, "Hey," if you were the person sitting on the bench, you kind of wouldn't think twice about it at first.
True.
Until you see that there's like 50 or so other dog walkers behind him all doing the same thing.
Those are some really nice dog walkers. And they all have an armband on. What else going on?
Because that's how it starts, right? It starts out as a joke.
And then they're all Nazis.
Which I kind of think would be the perfect sentence to put underneath this picture. It always starts out as a joke.
I think that's fair.
Like, I wish that I had 2 cameras, one on my screen and one so you can see the earnest look on my face as I'm saying these things.
I can hear the earnestness in your voice.
Oh, thanks. So got a big nose. Wow.
Just on out here walking my dog. Don't mind me is all.
Hey, neighbor. Make America great again. It's kind of scary. Just the idea that a lot of these groups are growing.
Yeah.
And what makes it scary is the fact that a lot of these reports are happening. The news that's shedding light on all of these people, yet it doesn't really feel like anybody cares all that much.
I mean, they do, obviously, right? Like, that's why there was that huge backlash against them on Twitter against the Times for their normalization, right?
Right.
I don't know, and I know you kind of want to save that discussion for the podcast, but I think it's kind of difficult to avoid here.
Well, we're gonna. This is probably going to be a topic at hand for the rest of the year.
Fair enough, yeah.
If not next.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it is kind of a double-edged sword in terms of like doing this kind of journalism, this like awareness journalism, or this, I don't know, what like when they're doing a feature about this neo-Nazi and kind of detailing his very ordinary life and how he's like, yeah, he's a courteous guy when he greets the counter person at the grocery store. He's all chipper and hi, hello, how's it going there? And I, like I said, I think it's kind of a double-edged sword. I see where the Times is coming from, where they want to say like, well, this isn't, we can't other them as these kind of nefarious, well, I mean, they are nefarious monsters, but they're also, other than that, no different from us, and it almost seems like it's closer to us than we realize.
Yeah.
And that would hopefully kind of spur a bit of like internal monologue in a lot of people, and wonder like, oh my god, this isn't this nebulous thing that I haven't really considered before. It's actually like could be my neighbor. Then on the other hand, I do agree with the criticism that, like, yeah, normalizing it can also make somebody else say, yeah, these are normal people, and I'm not a horrible person for having thoughts similar to that, and I'm going to explore that further.
Right.
So,
See, I definitely buy that argument for sure.
yeah, that is a happy Nazi dog.
Well, he doesn't know any better. He's just a dog.
Just happy to be here. He's just happy to be out on a walk.
Exactly. But anyway, you were continuing.
Yeah.
You're still making a point.
No, I think you were responding to that.
Oh, okay.
think.
Was I?
You were about to.
Yeah, no, like I definitely understand that point, but I think that people really need to be aware of just how many normal people out there are starting to behave like this. I see a lot of that backlash towards that article as people just kind of like plugging their ears and saying, no, 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 no.
Yeah. And so the guy from Mother Jones, like, he's the New York Times response kind of cites him as being like, kind of making this one of the points that I'd made there was the fact that, yeah, like, these people are closer to home than most of us tend to think. And there was somebody else who responded to him saying, like, a person of color that responded to him saying, like, you know what, like, maybe for white people they didn't realize that, but for, people of color, people like Jewish people, black people, Mexican people, like, we've seen that already. We've seen that. We know that it could be your next door neighbor, that it could be some dude shopping next to you, right?
Right.
They've seen that already, and so I get where they're coming from. But at the same time, like, I'd have to agree with you that it is, just because they're aware doesn't mean that everybody is.
Yeah.
And I think that people do need, like, especially white people, need to hopefully see that as a wake-up call, right? And I mean, maybe they could have done it better. Maybe they could have really added some emphasis into, like, every second line or whatever, right? Just like, by the way, this dude is really shitty.
And you know what though, like, it would be a shame if it really had to come to that. Like, I think society has actually gone to a point to understand that is shitty, that like the news shouldn't have to constantly remind people, like, every second paragraph to be all like, by the way, he's a Nazi.
I think we all thought that, like, only a few months ago, right? But that's
Right.
kind of clearly not necessarily the case, because he, like, at least the people who are publicly being Nazis and white supremacists and alt-righters and MAGA, the peoples and the whatever have you, like, what have you, right?
Right.
Those are, like, it's a far bigger number than we used to think.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it could have been explored a little bit more thoughtfully than, yeah, this guy is a Nazi and he supports people who, tried to gas, or, well, did, like, killed millions of Jewish people.
Yeah.
They're Jewish. But also he shops.
Look at him go to the store like everybody else.
Like grocery carts.
Nazis, they're just like us.
Yeah, exactly. So I, to be honest with you, I actually haven't read the article.
No.
But I've just seen a ton of discussion on it on Twitter. So I mean, I haven't really formulated an opinion of the article itself myself, but
yeah, it's kind of easy with everybody saying so many things about it to just get the gist of what the article is about.
yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I don't really feel like I need to expend a lot of time on like I get the point already,
right?
Just from having read a lot of the backlash and then the story itself. Just like, yeah, okay, it's normalizing a Nazi, and that, like I said, it has a double-edged sword. It's has some benefits, hopefully, to wake people up, and it also has the potential detriments of making them more sympathetic to people who could lean that way.
Because how else can you really talk about it? Like, I guess the thing that I am thinking here is that you can't really expect the news organization to be the one to say, check this guy out. He's bad, isn't he? We should all like I don't know, like their whole purpose is to report on something, and like whether you think they got that message across correctly, it's up to you, the reader, right? Like you can honestly sit there and give them criticism of the piece, and they will honestly take it to heart. And they did. They went out and apologized, saying like, look, we wanted to create a certain way, and we have no problem with the story that we were trying to tell. We could have just at least made it clearer.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe explored like what causes this, and like how do you become a Nazi?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, like I guess if they had a little bit more of a national info dump, like infographics all over the place of like how something like that even comes to pass, rather than just doing a profile on the dude. Yes.
Yeah, or I mean, do a profile on the dude, and then also kind of talk about how, like, yeah, they're like some Sikh dude was killed because someone thought he was a Muslim, right? And like,
Yeah.
like talk about the shitty, talk a lot about the shitty.
Yeah.
Like, bring up examples of violence from Nazis or of whatever, right?
Right.
Because you really cannot separate the two.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like,
I don't think you ever could.
You really shouldn't be able to separate the.
Yeah.
Unless you're like a old Disney cartoon, where Donald Duck is saying "Hail Hitler," then you kind of have to separate him from the rest of his work.
Yep.
Yeah. Although it kind of explains a lot about Scrooge McDuck, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. I was gonna say I liked Andrew Kuryata with CBC up in Prince George. I like his comment that while America is kind of losing its shit about a Nazi or a white supremacist getting a sympathetic feature in the New York Times, here in Canada, white supremacists get like op-eds in columns.
Yeah.
Like Conrad Black is a total white supremacist, and he's regularly featured on, well, as an op-ed writer for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
And making the argument that like justifying colonialism and genocide, both like physical and cultural, of indigenous people because we were smarter.
God, which is just so
wrong and stupid.
Like, it makes me feel dirty just thinking about him talk that way.
Yeah, because like that was a thing that like should not really be like, it's false balance, right? Like it's a thing that we should not be accepting as part of the regular dialogue. Like he's allowed to think that, and he's allowed to spout that out on his own whatever, right? His Facebook, his Twitter, blog, vlog, podcast, comic drawing thingy. Whatever he does, right?
I don't think we're ever going to resort to that kind of thing. Like you'll never see me draw a comic about how colonialism is a great idea.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, Conrad Black. I've never seen him drawing, so I don't know how his drawing skills are. But
I hope they're garbage.
me too. Anyway, like he should be allowed to do that. Whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe not even. I don't know.
But
Like
do you-
pretty borders on hate speech. But so the other thing is like the National Post, a national newspaper, one of two national newspapers, should absolutely not be giving him that kind of a platform for that message.
But is that one of the papers that he owns, or has he like ceased
I don't think he
owning
owns
something?
anything anymore, does he?
I have no idea. Wow. Well, his pants are great for now. I'll color them in later.
Yeah, that's a pretty Nazi-ish color.
It's got to be more tan.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Brown shirts.
Trust me, I know a thing or two about Nazi uniform.
Well, they're like the brown shirts and like the black shirts or something like that, wasn't it? Red
Yeah.
shirts? I
There
don't
were
know.
like different levels.
Yeah, and then the one killed the other
Yes.
with the knives.
Is that how it goes?
Yeah, the Night of the Long Knives.
Oh. Is
And
that a Nazi thing?
yeah.
I thought that was like a French Canada thing.
No. I don't think so.
Okay.
Unless
Wasn't
it's
that-
two Knights of the Long Knives.
What was the name of that night called where all those members of parliament had like a secret meeting and didn't involve any of the French politicians?
I'm not sure.
When you said Night of the Long Knives, that kind of reminded me of that.
Night of the Long Knives was also referred to as Operation Hummingbird.
Oh.
When the Nazi regime carried out a series of political extrajudicial executions intended to consolidate Hitler's absolute hold on power in Germany.
Oh, geez.
Basically, it was like the SS killing the SA.
Oh. Well, I guess that explains it then.
Yeah.
You can tell I'm a lazy artist, and I just like fill in rather than paint over the whole thing.
That's how I do it too.
And now I got to do this again.
Do it. So,
hey, just gotta keep practicing. Welcome to Michael's weekly excuse to draw.
I see you doing some drawings on the Instagram sometimes.
Yeah. You could totally tell where I was coming from with my like, oh, where was this in October? When it meant something a little bit more. I think I mentioned this before. October for artists is this thing called Inktober.
Right, yeah.
Which is you spend the entire month doing one ink drawing a day. I might as well give him a brown hat.
Those Nazis, they're all about their brown hats.
I shouldn't be laughing.
Or maybe a red hat, red MAGA hat.
Right? Yeah, no, that's actually a good point. I'm gonna make that red too.
Fair.
Because you know,
Nazis.
So then I guess I should actually probably get rid of this one little part here.
Do a little like white scribble in there.
Yeah, give a tiny little baby white scribble. Actually, let's zoom in as much as we can. Look at it, so interactive, so cool. You're gonna see something.
I like the sound effects.
Okay. All right. Make sure that my brush is very tiny. Here we go. And make
very tiny.
Great egg there.
Ag N.
And you zoom out to full, and it's like, oh wow, that actually looks kind of gross. But
Perfection.
they get the gist of it.
Yeah, they'll figure it out.
Okay, and then we'll give the dog some color. God, what was I else I was thinking of?
What was you gonna think of?
I don't know. You know, like this is. Oh shoot. Okay. Step backwards. I'm coloring on the wrong layer.
Oh geez.
Yeah, common problem with me in Photoshop. Okay, here we go. So yeah, it's like it's just kind of one of those things that I feel worth reiterating. Did you ever think in your entire lifetime that 2017 would be the year where we would all be talking about Nazis in a big, significant way?
I thought we were done with that, you know? But
yeah.
I mean, I guess I was a little naive.
Apparently.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just so weird to me to think that, like, in this year of our Lord, 2017, that there's a group of people out there that are claiming Nazism as a great American value, in a sense.
Yeah. Or like kind of aligning themselves with Nazis, but like pretending that they're not.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Much to the point where I'm sure that, like, even people watching this thing, when they get around to watching it, that they'd be sitting there going like, oh, why is this a topic? Why are you guys talking about this? You're not wrong.
History will not look upon 2017 very favorably.
No. I'm sure a lot of historians in the future will be looking at this time in history being all like, didn't they learn the first time?
Yeah. They will be just a persistent lesson in facepalm.
Yeah. I guess it's true what they say. I'm not sure if this is a real phrase, but history is doomed to repeat itself.
Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it, or something like that.
I think is kind of a very significant thing to say in this day and age, because I don't think this modern generation learns anything.
Apparently not.
Like, I think I remember earlier conversations that I was having about this whole Nazi thing. So just, to me, it feels more like people are treating Nazism as a fad more than it was an actual thing that happened in history.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know.
It's a struggle of a conversation.
It hurts.
Let's talk about something else then.
Clowns. Clowns are
they?
No,
are they
scary?
I mean, clowns have become scary again thanks to it.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. This is all about, like, shitty nostalgia.
It's like clowns already got a bad rap last year with all that scary stuff happening. Now they have to deal with it.
I had an old roommate with whom I used to watch a lot of The Tick.
Yeah. Oh,
and there's good. It's so good. And there's this one episode where there's like a bunch of clowns that take over.
Yeah.
And like there's this news report where they're like something bad happens, and then the news anchor's like, but on a lighter note, clowns. And it goes to clowns. And so we used to always, like, if like a shitty or if a conversation sucked, we just like occasionally just revert back to on a lighter note and reflect for a moment on clowns.
But now you can't even use that anymore because clowns are ruined.
Yeah.
Way to go, clowns.
Life sucks, man.
You did this to yourself, clowns.
Yeah, that's true.
You should have seen it coming, clowns. I remember when I was a kid, I was scared of clowns. And all she wanted to do was give me candy. So, like, here, have this bag of candy because you're here and you're having fun. And I'm like, I don't recognize this face, therefore I'm going to start crying.
I mean, that's what I do nowadays too.
In your old age.
Yeah.
Must be hard when you walk up to somebody you've never met for an interview for your paper.
It's always emotional.
You just start the interview crying, like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm here to talk to you about this KFC house.
I really hate these potholes, don't you?"
I'm so happy you're talking to me, Mayor.
Yeah.
But I was going to say something about like how it sucks to humanize something like that. When I was recounting something in my youth, which is something I do from time to time. There was a guy that I went to school with that kind of seemed to grow further into a hatred. Like you wouldn't suspect it. Being with the guy, he seemed all right for the most part. Sure, he like swore a lot. I remember
days, right?
I remember having conversations with him where the F word seemed to be every second word coming out of his mouth while he was trying to talk. But then it kind of like got to a weird place where he would start putting like white nationalism stuff on his bedroom door. Like this is a poor example because it's been so long ago, so it's really hard to remember. But it'd be something like, God, I can't even remember his name. Jordan's room, F Jews, Nazis are cool, kind of thing. I guess I don't know.
That's shitty.
And you just kind of like look at that and be like, are we all going to accept this? Like, this is on his room in his house. Like, what do his parents think? Are they just going to be like, yeah, well, he's going through a phase?
I don't call that a phase. I call that, I mean, like, that's just stupid.
Yeah. It's very stupid. But it's something he did. And it kind of, you know, thinking back on it is like, well, first of all, I somewhat wonder what this guy is up to now.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you like if you knew what he's up to now, but I guess not.
Kind of don't want to.
Soldiers of Odin or something.
Oh God, I wouldn't be surprised. He did seem like he would be material for that sort.
I met a guy in Dubai once. I was there with a friend who went to school there, and he was like, "Yeah, I've got this friend. We're gonna go see his place and stuff." And the guy is Lebanese,
right?
Which I mean, as I'm sure you're aware, is kind of always in conflict with Israel.
Yes.
And so like before we get there, he's like, I don't think he actually gave me any heads up. Like we just like go into his room and it's like this big Nazi banner, big swastika banner. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That was terrifying to go into. And like kind of like, well, incredibly ironic because like he's Lebanese, right? I don't think Hitler would have spared him either, right?
That's very true. It's kind of weird where some of these things come from sometimes.
Yeah.
Like back to that furry article with the guy that is Jewish. And I guess he's like also a person of color and gay. And the fact that he tried joining an alt-right group. I know I left out details from earlier, but
Revelations.
I'm also stalling for time here because Photoshop is kind of frozen on me or is not responding at the moment. Oh, here we go. Oh, no. Oh, there we go. I'm trying to write text.
There we go.
He tried joining this thing, and there's part of me that was thinking, was like, well, is he doing that in jest, or does he genuinely feel a certain way, even though he's part of a group that they dislike?
Yeah.
That's not a T. That's a 5.
That's also like off the thing.
That is also off the thing. Oh my God. Come on. Come on.
It's just so hard.
Come on, baby. Come on. Hold together. Hold together. It. You do that. There we go. Always starts off as a joke. Hoke. It always starts off as a hoke. As a yoke.
As a hokey pokey.
Turn yourself around, sir. Take that armband off and go home. There you go. It's nice, smaller.
There you go.
That's not the best Nazi armband, but at the same time, I guess I should feel proud of myself for not accurately drawing one.
I'll give you credit for that.
So proud of you. That's the real Nazi test. Can you draw?
Yeah.
If you can't, then
you're fine.
Congratulations, you're not a Nazi.
Yeah, it's the screening test right there, recognized by the American Psychiatric Association.
Oh joy! That is a really happy dog, though. Even German Shepherds need to go on walks.
Happy to be there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy. I don't know what we dogs would rate this, though. That's actually a very good, interesting question. Because We Rate Dogs has been very political as of late.
Has it?
I
remember, like I don't know, a few weeks ago or like a month or two ago, it was a little political.
He definitely goes out of his way sometimes.
Hmm.
Whoever runs the thing.
Yeah.
How does We Rate Dogs feel about German Shepherds?
I don't think I've ever seen a German Shepherd on the old dog rates.
Right. Because most of the time the dog rates are like puppies, right?
Yeah.
Never seen a full-grown dog unless it was like a German golden retriever or whatever you want to call them.
That's because he's racist.
It's because he's racist. We Rate Dogs rates everything 13 out of 10.
Yeah.
Because they're good dogs.
They're good dogs, Brent.
Mm-hmm. But like, if you saw like a video of a German Pinscher goose stepping, how would he rate it? That would be a very good litmus test on his political stance, I think. Not to like catch him doing something.
Yeah, because like he has had some controversies over like racism and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it seems like it's been blown out of proportion. Like people giving him shit for referring to October as a spook month, which is like, it's spooky, right?
Oh, because because the word spook could mean something else.
Yes.
Which, I mean, you can't get mad at him for something that he doesn't necessarily know. It's like, I don't know, like I wouldn't think twice about, oh, this is a slur somewhere. I would just be like, it's it's Halloween, it's spooky times. And if you're forcing that upon me, then I'm not the one at fault. It's you. You're the racist.
Well, I don't know about that, but I think the argument would be, well, then he's ignorant, right?
Right.
But the thing is, it's ignorance towards an incredibly outdated. Like I don't think I've ever actually used a person in real life use that term as a racial slur, right?
Right.
It's only in like old movies.
Yeah.
So it's like I certainly can see how we would just like nobody would think about that, right? Because like I said,
it's part of a dialect or a vernacular that just no longer exists.
Yeah.
And it's only I feel like in a situation like that, it's only really kept alive by people who are looking for something to be mad about.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. But anyway, that was the doodle.
A doodles that was.
It always starts off as a joke. I would put it back onto my screen, but you guys have seen it be drawn for like over 40 minutes, and I don't think you need to see it again.
They'll make do.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, it'll be like up on the Facebook post thing, right?
Basically, it's almost immediately after. This gets posted to Twitter, Facebook, and I think I'm actually going to send it to Julia so she can put it on the Instagram page to get people excited about this. Because I'll say it again, in terms of our Patreon content, for those that do subscribe, this is like the one thing that they get to go in live as it happens. Because we don't really have anything else in place at the moment.
True.
As much as I would like to think that, the News Friends podcast itself could be a live thing, I don't have the money to put any resources into that.
Fair enough. Would you, like, I don't know, would it be that much more resources than, like, more technology than what you already have?
Yeah. I would have to buy a couple of different boxes to put wires through.
No.
Yeah, which wouldn't be too fun.
Fair enough.
I think I would also have to either buy more RAM for this computer or buy a completely new computer, which is too much. So I think RAM is probably a better idea.
Too much, man.
So, like, technology, if you want to do things with it, you always have to be up to date. But I mean, this is our one big Patreon thing. For those that want to subscribe to our Patreon, you get to sit in the chat box as this is happening and be part of the peanut gallery.
You get to see us stumble over our words in live life.
Stumble over our words, and you can also genuinely ask us questions if you wanted to, or like be part of the discussion. Because what is news if it's not there to invoke a conversation?
Truth. Very, very thoughtful ends to this.
Thank you.
This video dudes.
Yeah, that's we're gonna stop calling it Doodle Sesh. It's just gonna be video dudes now. So, on behalf of the video dudes, I'm Michael Lick, and thanks, Dustin Godfrey, for once again joining me.
Thank you.
Now he can go and do his laundry, and I can finish my beer.
Neat.
And then we could maybe do another one of these next Sunday.
We'll see. And News Friends out.
News Friends out.
News Friends out.